Greetings, brothers and sisters from the four corners of the world. I hope everyone is having a blessed and prosperous afternoon, evening, day in their respective lands. All right. Sinners in the flesh. I want to say this is part 4. Yeah. Um, wow, we've come a long way. And in this lesson, I realized, brothers and sisters, that I made a mistake in um, missed out on adding something from the previous lesson that I had, but I totally forgot. So in this lesson, we're going to bring it out. But let's begin. We're going to start with the book of Sirach or Ecclesiasticus. This is 11 and 16. Now, you can see on the right side seems to be that 16 was taken out. So um, there's nothing I can do there on that part. So from the left, it reads, Error and darkness had their beginning with sinners, and evil shall wax old with them that glory therein. And as we were talking about the movie and how it was more so of a kind of like a manifestation of what we see in the world today with, you know, luring and enticing people into sin, as the book of Proverbs says, don't listen to the counsel of evil, right? And we see here in scripture, it says, error and darkness had their beginning together with sinners. Now, I want you to think about that. Error leading someone astray, darkness. If you've been watching the spiritual warfare lessons, you know that we, what? We war against beings who are princes and higher powers of spiritual darkness. So darkness and error are attached. Now, we understand wherever sin is, sin always provides, I repeat, sin always provides the measures to lead you astray from something, whether it be enticing, whether, it can be just a simple get together or having fun with people, right? It always leads to something else. But error and darkness had their beginning together with sinners. Now, if you've read the Testament of Solomon, and I believe I've went over it, this is a specific demon called error. Okay, yes. So there is a demon to bring confusion, to bring error, to do everything and anything to lead you away. I think because truly, I do think that Hosea 4 and 6 is such an understatement. For it says, my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. And I don't just think this is the children of Israel, this goes for everyone, Jew and Gentile alike. Destroyed for the lack of knowledge. Now, before we move further into the book of Enoch, I want to share with you some things that I was going to share with you in the previous lesson. So here is my encyclopedia of demons and demonology. All right, you can see it. Encyclopedia of Demons and Demonology. And yes, I get juicy. In this encyclopedia, and I'm just showing you for understanding, you'll find information on angels, ghosts, and spirits, which are demons, the witchcraft and the things they do, the science, whom they may call saints, and it could be some real angels, right? Now, I personally haven't looked into this portion. Um, the Encyclopedia of Vampires, Werewolves, and Other Monsters, and then of Witches, Witchcraft, and Wicca. Now, with all the with all the evil going on at this point, if you live in a country where you can access internet freely, without governments interfering or without, censorships, and that's what I'm really referring to, there is no reason that you should be putting your head under the covers. I do believe, and this is with strong admonition, I do believe that a lot of those who subscribe to the term Christian, um, I do believe that because the rapture has been taught so much in the Christian Constantine doctrine, right? Because Christianity is from Constantine, that the gospel has been trampled on, just like Christ said in Matthew 7, give not what is holy to the dogs, lest they trample on it. And what did Constantine and the Romans and the Europeans do? They trampled all over the Word of God. They're not the only one, though. You know, the Arabs too, but we're going to focus just on uh, Constantine, okay? And this rapture, aka John Darby doctrine. Because people believe in this, they pull the covers over their heads and say, well, since I'm getting raptured, I don't need to know about this. That is the greatest deception that Satan has ever done to people who claim to believe in Christ. Because when there are seven seals, there are seven trumpets, there are seven spirits for the churches, Christ says there will be, you must endure. He who endures to the end, the same shall be saved, so forth and so forth and so forth. And no matter how you spin it, like for example, the big topic that's been in 2025 thus far is they're claiming that a rapture is going to be between the 20th and the 23rd or the 24th. And when it doesn't happen, they will just say, well, it's God's time. It's okay. Not realizing that by giving dates and giving false information, and I want to share with y'all how serious this is going. So I have done a little bit of research, just a little bit, just to see people's reactions on this. And people have been selling their homes because they believe they're going up with Christ in a rapture. During that time, people have been quitting their jobs. I mean, and error and darkness have their beginning with sinners. And You may say, well, how can this person, these people who claim to believe in Christ, be called sinners? Well, remember, Christ called them sinners to their face on the day of judgment. He said, and who are you again? I know you not, you worker of iniquity, because you have not done the will of the Father. I don't care about all these other things, but I care more so about you doing what you were born to do, which is the will of God. Not what you feel that you should correct in the world, not what you feel what you should co-sign and say, yeah, yeah, that's true. That's not what God created you for. So error and darkness, remember, leading astray, sinners got to be together. Now in the movie, you saw the church boy. You saw, and fairly, these people, with the exception of, per se, um, with the exception of the voodoo woman, right? The one who recognized the spirits. All of them were proclaiming to live some kind of decent life, just making it by, you know, and they weren't against church, but they weren't going to it either. Not that going to church makes it well, because Christ said what? The very people who said they did X, Y, and Z in my name, they're still not going. So, error and darkness, very intertwined with sinners. How so? What happens when we, as a world, as a creation, normalize sin? Well, certain things become enjoyment, certain things become entertainment. So, on the right here, you see, and we're going to go through these things. Al Ghul, this is an Arabian vampire. They call them night jinn. So the D is kind of silent. It's a jinn or dajin. Okay. Agul means horse leech. Now, we went into the scriptures. We saw that this is, once again, referring to vampires or Lilith. The Agul lives in cemeteries and takes the form of a woman in order to gain the trust of unattended children. Although this type of evil jinn or jinn lives in cemeteries, it prefers fresh blood. It enters homes to prey upon sleeping children, taking their blood and their breath. It lures unattended children into dark places in order to vampirize them. When fresh blood is not available, it drinks the blood of, and that's just for the sense of the sake of censorship. Okay. Now, one, when the whole world saw about Wayfair and all those things about adrenochrome, no one put two and two together to say blood plus celebrities equals right, children coming out one way from the other. And you may see, for example, some people will adopt boys and they come out as the others. Some people may adopt girls and they come out as the other gender. These children have been attacked and they have been silenced and they have been damaged, and they are disturbed at the things that they have experienced. That's why they do things to express wild behaviors, hoping someone will see them, pay attention. The piercings, different piercings in the body. A lot of people do things to latch out to say, hey, I'm in pain, because they feel that within they can no longer feel it because they have been so accustomed to pain. These things you also see in people who have very extreme levels of depression where they self harm. These are all attacks of Lilith. Now, we all know cemeteries is a place for the dead. No one should be there. In fact, the truth is, they call them the graveyard shift. It's because, and you can look this up, the uh, the grave digger, the one who would put the bodies in the ground, they used to put bells at the top of every headstone and every body, because spirits would get the dead up, or witches would go and try and possess certain souls to bring them back. Kind of like what you see that has occurred in Haiti. I hear they do this also in Benin and in Africa, in West Africa, about the whole voodoo. Nigeria does it as well, certain parts. Um, and it's not just those regions. You have different places all over, right? But those are places I have come upon in my studies that actually, till this day, are doing these things and even doing ceremonies to worship these jinn or these spirits. Anywho, pay attention to how they enter homes. Now, these are spirits, and notice how Lilith has an obsession with children. I don't know if anyone noticed that, but Lilith has an obsession with children. Think about that. Now, even though in the movie there was a bunch of grown folks doing unrighteous things, you see that the prey, they preyed on who? The youngest person there. And the youngest person was the one who the devil wanted the most, which was the Sammy, the preacher boy. Now, please keep in mind that what the world has told you is an adult, that's not an adult in the Most High's eyes, because the age of 20 and 21 is when someone is an adult, not 18, not 19, and barely pushing 20. They're still children, according to the Most High. Henceforth, the Most High does not give positions to anyone who is, it's very unlikely, I should say, but all throughout history, you see the Dead Sea Scrolls, there was an order for the age limit. That is why Christ, no one shares with you what he did previous. Not only is it a mystery, we know it because we read the Gospel of the Nazarenes and the Essenes and stuff like that, and did further research. But that's why most of his life is missing, and you only see his life, his ministry beginning in the 30s because you weren't allowed to teach until you were 30. Also, which is a fun fact, scientists have come up with, and you can fact check me if you choose, scientists have revealed that the brain is not fully stopped develop until you're 35 years old, which means no wonder why when people are still in their 20s, all they like to do is party. And then in their 30s, they realize this is not proper. It's because by the time you're 30, hitting 35, you're now realizing that this is not the life. I want family. I want children. I want kids. I want a better life. I mean, the scriptures don't lie, but because you would like to think that it is that way, and because Satan teaches error and darkness, remember, Satan preys on these individuals, the young, and he preys on what? He preys on the ignorant. All right. Next, and I kind of want to go through some of these, right? Vampire demons, okay, and you can see I won't go through all of them, all right, but but I wanted to share with y'all some really, really interesting stuff, okay? So, vampire demons. After returning home to Scotland, this is Aleister Crowley informed the Golden Dawn, which Donald Trump talks quite a lot about, that he has the golden age of America, the golden dawn is the same. That he was its new head, but he received no reply. He then determined that Mathers had launched a psychic attack against him, and he responded by summoning Beelzebub and his demons to attack in retaliation. Mathers had prepared himself for 6 months with magical procedures and rites in order to create vampiric thought form demon by channeling the power of Mars, the planet of war and aggression. Now, they understand that these are not planets. They understand that these are demons. So just demons of war and aggression. Mathers entered a trance state and concentrated his will into the psychic vampire. Now, there's a lot going on here. Prepared himself for 6 months for procedures and rites to create a vampiric thought form demon. A thought form demon. A thought form. So, going back into the last lesson, we see what? The psychic. The psychic demons. There are people who prey in their evils to know what's on your mind, to know what's in your mind. And I'm going to be honest with you. I've been reading, like I said, I've been reading the book of the jinn. Right? There's a book of the jinn, and that I'll share in another lesson. I think I'm going to include it in the spiritual warfare lesson in a different series. But there's a book I'm reading, Devils and Jinns, right? And they talk about how the devils, what'll happen is if they want you to know that they're watching you, let's say you can be away from someone, right? You can be 30 minutes away, no contact. You could be 2 hours away. You can be an entire day. You could be 24 hours away from this person from a whole nother country. And the next time you speak to them, they will tell you things that you were speaking about in private, but the person won't know that they are possessed. And see, this is where I shared with you all, how would you feel if Christ said, if you're speaking to Christ and Christ said, "Get behind me, Satan, I rebuke you, Satan, you know, enough." You'd probably be heated and ready to curse Christ out. That's the common thing that people would do. What do you mean I have a devil? What do you mean? Because of the common person, if I sat there and met someone and said, "Hey, I love you, you know, but what you just said, only the devil could have known." That means what? The devil was in you. Would you get upset or would you fast and pray? You see? Peter did not get upset. So in this book of the jinn and demons, it states that they have this ability to watch you and to listen to you. Sometimes, depending on how strong you are, they're not even going to bother you as far as physically. They may bother your sleep. You may be talking to someone, right, about the Most High or about some ideas that you have, and all of a sudden, the next person that you haven't spoken to in a month or so, they have the same idea. That's a demon. That's a demon saying, "I'm watching every single thing that you are doing." All right. So that's a thought form demon, a thought form vampire demon. It reads, he ordered it to attack Crowley. However, he committed a grievous error in doing the sending himself, and magic apprentices are often used to do the sending. For if anything goes amiss and magic boomerangs back, it will be the apprentice who suffers, not the master magician. So, like, I kind of like to think of, like, when I said, like, these Israelite uh, congregations, they'll send people to come and try and be within, my church or whatnot, my little congregation, get my information, give it back to their congregations, share it with them. Those things end up backfiring. Not only does it backfire on the person who's taken my information and my lessons and say, "Oh, then they claim it for their own knowledge," right? Which is the devil's work as well. But then they also go leading other souls into damnation too, making them believe that, hey, there's something, or that they have this connection with the Most High that they obviously do not. So it gets bad for them. It said Crowley, who was of superior magical skill, took the thought form, made it nastier, and sent it back to attack Mathers. This warfare supposedly went on for years and was chronicled by journalists around the world. Mathers' health declined as the attacks continued. And I spoke about what? That when people were around, I was gaining 20 pounds and it was so hard. These people are dangerous, okay? But there's a special place for them. We'll see. When Mathers died in 1918, his widow, Monia, blamed his death on Crowley's psychic vampirism. Prior to his death, Mathers once described the awful nature of the thought form vampire demon. It reads, only the upper portions of its body were visible when it would appear. Obviously female, it had narrow breasts protruding through some kind of dark raiment. Below the waist nothing existed. The curious eyes were deep-socketed and glowed faintly with an intense coral-colored luminosity. The head was flat, set low between white, blubbery shoulders, as though it were cut off just below those fearful eyes. Like tiny, useless flippers, the arms seemed most vestigial. They were like unformed limbs still in the foetal stage. But the thing didn't need arms. Its terrifying weapon was an extraordinary long, coated gray tongue. Tube-like and hollow, it bore a small opercular hole as its tips, and that lavish tongue kept darting snake-like in and out of a circular, lipless mouth, always trying to catch me off guard. It would suddenly strike at me like a greedy missile attempting to suck out my uric vitality. Perhaps the being's most terrifying feature is is its absolutely loathsome habit of trying to cuddle up like a purring cat, rubbing its half materialized form against me, all the while alert, hoping to find a gap in my defenses. Yes, because demons do come as animals. They come as cats and dogs and horses and certain other animals, monkeys, um, and so forth. And when it was sometimes successful, I was not always prepared nor strong enough to maintain the magical barriers. It would pierce my aura, my aura with the wicked tongue right down my skin, causing the most painful sensation. This was followed by a total of innervation of my body and spirit for a week or more. Listless, a listless dread experience. Full stop. Now, it said innervation. You can see it says an infringement, trying to cut the sinews, seeking to weaken. Innervate, root word, deprive of force and strength, to weaken and impair. So pay attention from this evil man who was trying to do evil just like Crowley. He said, what? He said, these spirits will come and seeking to weaken you or impair you or lower your guard. Hmm. No one, and this is why in First John it says, try the spirit. And I'm gonna make a lesson in the future about who we are as the journey of the remnant, because I think should other people come in person, I would like everyone to understand how I operate, like the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Bible, the laws we follow, right? And I remember when those individuals, and I invited them home to my home, and said, "Come be within my congregation, my little congregation, and my family." I put them through numerous tests, and when they finally realized, they said, "It was like you were testing me." Excuse me. Of course I'm gonna test you. Of course I'm gonna test you. I want to see more of who you are. Nah, and me, anyone who knows me, closely, okay, I don't trust anyone. I don't trust my own family. I don't trust my own parents. I don't trust anybody. That's the truth. I trust the Most High. You know why? Because that's exactly how Satan likes it. He likes you to trust in those who the world tells you to trust so they can keep stabbing you in the back. That's exactly how it occurs. We just don't, at the Journey of Remnant, we don't just go off of your words or your experience. That means absolutely zero to me because years ago, right, I experienced, being, in the church of an Israelite community church. What was it? A decade and some change ago, right? 2010, yeah. And 2011, 2010, that time frame. And I noticed they didn't follow any rules. I mean, the rules as in like, okay, keeping the holy days, and the Commandments. But if you're looking for like someone to hold you accountable, and then I'm going to read the Dead Sea Scrolls, I would say, if you haven't, read those community rules. That's kind of how, we operate in the journey of the remnant. So like if you leave and go to another church and come back, you're not welcome because what? That it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. It's the same concept as Matthew 25. You don't get to leave and come back and leave. Like you're either going to be with us or you're going to be without. The tomatoes, tomatoes, right? But I'll do a lesson on that. But Satan, I noticed Satan hates that Dead Sea Scrolls, and Satan hates those rules. Why? Because there are people who, and I've seen this countless times, where they leave a church and then they come back months later, or they come back a year later. Like you just don't get to do that. And Satan loves to weaken people that way. Oh, well, they said something I didn't like, or, oh, well, we did something I didn't like. Well, remember, that's to weaken the vessel. And that's to what? Have error and darkness together with those sinners. Remember, error and darkness are demons. So it's for them to be alone with the sinners. Isolation, isolation, isolation. All right. Going to the next portion, brothers and sisters. There's some words, right? In Greek lore, a type of female demon, okay, related to Lamia, similar to succubus, impose, which means forcers in, sometimes translated to vampire. The imposae are children of, they are the goddess of the underworld, ghosts, and magic. They appear at, they appear at her bidding at midday when people make sacrifices to their dead relatives. Kind of like what is the Mexican holiday, Day of the Dead, right? And we do. I'm sorry. I love all people, but once again, you can't sit there and say you're gonna serve the Most High and then be offering things to. I've seen these things firsthand. Nah, I refuse. Yeah, but anywho, They are filthy and ugly. They have hind ends of asses and wear brazen slippers. Sometimes they are described as having one's brass leg and one ass leg. They disguise themselves as cows, that or beautiful girls, and I would believe that would be a female dog. In the later form, they seduce men. They enter the human body to consume its flesh and drink its blood. So it's kind of strange. They enter the human body to consume its flesh and drink its blood. Almost like parasites, parasites that would come from, but never mind. All right. Now, this one it gives a further reading about apparitions and vampires, but I want you to see this, right? It starts from familiars, and we understand the Bible spoke about what? Regard not them that have familiar spirits, nor seek neither seek after wizards to be defiled by them. The soul that turneth after such as have familiar spirits and after wizards go a whoring after them, I will even set my face against that soul and will cut him off from among his people. A man also or a woman that hath a familiar spirit or that is a wizard shall be put to death. They shall stone them with stones, their blood shall be upon them. A charmer, a consulter with familiar spirits, and a necromancer. Okay, none of those individuals should be around. Now, I'm curious, right? And I'm quite sure you are too. So let's go. Deuteronomy. And I want to share this too, right? If you are new, and I know like Israelite communities, I know Christian churches that do this. If you are new to a congregation or to a church, however you want to call it, you are not supposed to be having any type of leadership position whatsoever. There has to be a thorough understanding and testing of knowledge along with testing of trials. And it's not going to be myself that tests you. Most High will allow tests to come because you can't just lead people and be a marshmallow. You had to have been through trials because when the trials come to the people, you have to know how to teach them to get through it. A lot of these within these congregations and churches, they're just giving anyone the ability because they claim to have love for God. Well, we make a difference in that by saying, well, you say you love God, I will show you I love God. See? And every single person who's come to my congregation from an Israelite community church, they all have wanted to be in a position in my congregation. And I'm like, excuse me? Excuse me? There's rules to this. There's rules. And the minute, I kid you not, brothers and sisters, that Dead Sea Scroll rules, those things cut because every time I bring the rules out from the Dead Sea Scrolls, sinners scatter. They're like, nope, don't want no part of this. Nope, don't want no. Good. If you didn't want no part of the law, then I don't want no part of you. That's as simple as it goes. But anywho, let's go into this. This is on the right, Deuteronomy 18. It reads, when you come into the land of the Most High your God gives you, you must not fall into the habit of imitating detestable practices of the natives. There must never be anyone among you who makes his son or daughter pass through fire, who practice divination, who is soothsayer, an augur, a sorcerer, who uses charms, consults ghosts and spirits, or calls up the dead. For the man who does these things is detestable to the Most High your God. It is because of these detestable practices that the Most High your God is driving these nations before you. You must faithful You must be entirely faithful to the Most High your God, for these nations whom you are disposing may listen to soothsayers and diviners, but this is not the gift that the Most High your God gives to you. The Most High your God will raise up for you a prophet like myself from among yourselves, from your own brothers. To him you must listen. Okay. Now, and that's the scripture that the Muslims use as saying this is Muhammad, which this is actually Christ. But anywho, oh, so misunderstood, right? Anywho. Not saying, and by the way, if we have Muslim brothers and sisters, not saying that, because I do have biblical texts that say Muhammad was, but the Arabs changed his teachings. So, and even other scholars have proven this as well. Anywho, continuing. So we see that to be a leader of the Most High or to be in the congregations, you must not have been involved in this, in any of these things. And you may say, well, where does that leave room for mercy? Well, it does, right? Because, for example, in the courts and the tabernacles there was an inner court and then there was an outer court, right? And then there was an area just for those who were the servants of the Most High. Then the singers have an area outside of that. There was the tabernacle of the Most High, right? And then there was the congregation of Israel, and then outside of them was the Gentiles, right? Who, you remember that? Now, the individuals who are overcoming the spirit of witchcraft, we would have to, and like I said, I've dealt with people who were witches and people who were Satanists. Good people who actually changed, not the people that I was dealing with before, but people who actually changed. And surprisingly, a fun fact, the people who just recently left, um, that you hear me speaking about, even from this series, they were the children of Israel. But the people who were changing, who were witches and the Satanists, had the Satanist tattoos and the lip stuff and all that stuff, right? They were Caucasian, so the Gentile stock. So, um, showing you that the children of Israel, they got some. If you're the children of Israel and dealing with this, I wouldn't give it to anyone anyway. That's whether you were a Jew or Gentile, there would be no way. Now, as far as teaching and maybe being a liaison for individuals who have suffered with that and helping you teach people through your testimony, that is possible. But as far as the actual downright leadership, absolutely not. No, no one should be doing that. No one. Okay. And I see a lot of those Israelite communities, churches and stuff, even the Christian churches, they allowing people to get into their church amongst their people who are witches and warlocks and believe in extra spirits and ancestors and spirits of the ants. Man, you can miss me with that foolery. I don't want nothing to do with those people. I don't want them near me. I don't want to talk to them. Stay far away from me. You can take that ancestry, that spirits of my grandpappy, my granddaddy, my grandma. I don't want to hear none of that trash. Okay. People are crazy. People are cuckoo. Okay. So familiar spirits. And let's get into this, right? Familiar spirits. Yeah. Mumbling, a necromancer, ventriloquist. Okay, blah 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 blah. Right? Oh my, ventriloquist, and I think this one is very important. I do. Okay, one speaking in such a manner that the voice seems to proceed from another person or object. Now that's witchcraft. Talking and listen here. Listen here. And in some sorts, brothers and sisters, you could almost call this acting. Why? Because you got to listen here. And I get it. We all have this ability, right? If we squeeze our nose, we'll start talking a different way. Some people, have a certain movie that they want to react and they sound just like it, right? Or a song. But this is a demonic possession. That's us. This is what a rumbling or an internal speech regarded as a sign of spiritual inspiration, aka a demonic possession. A demonic possession. All right. Going on. A spirit, so a familiar, what is a familiar spirit? Is a spirit that maintains regular contact with a person, sometimes acting in service or guardianship, or providing information and instruction. The term familiar is from the Latin term familiaris, means of a household or domestic. Hmm. Going into those ancestors, huh? Familiars can either be good or an evil nature, I'm saying, just like the Bible says they are evil. And they vary significantly in intelligence and powers. They assume many shapes, such as elementals, animals, birds, and insects, and even spirit lovers, which is wild. The shapes assumed reflect the nature of the spirit who may be intent on deceit. Personal familiars sometimes attach themselves to family bloodline and serve generations. And you know what? I can believe that. You know why? Because that's why they call it a generational curse. Because people passing stuff down to the next, they're passing demons down. So think about it, right? If, let's say, if, there's a family, right? And they kick it. They say 18, right? We're gonna kick you out of the house. You're a grown adult. And those parents have struggled, but they understand that they're like, oh well, when you get out, you get out. 15 or 18, right? Some people get emancipated, whatever, right? And then their child becomes a parent and does the same thing. And then when they have children, their children do the same thing and the same thing. And they're just passing generational trauma and stress because no one is willing to put away their vanity and pride and say, enough is enough. I refuse to let these spirits play along with my family. That's how it works. They can possess people and animals and are capable of acting independently of the people with whom they associate. Familiars are summoned via magical ritual, given an appointed trade, bought and sold, or they appear of their own volition. They can be housed in bottles and rings. They have been part of the shamanic and sorcery traditions around the world. Now, those bottles, I mean, and it's kind of interesting, right? Because some people would think of genie, right? Which genie is a jinn, from Aladdin. That's a demon. It's just in a cartoon form. You can look it up. It is. And but when I think of bottle, I think of like the soda bottles, right? Think of Sprite. Well, Sprite is a demon. So they bottle in demons. Sprite, a spirit, okay? An apparition, a ghost, a demon. They are bottling de- they are bottling. And I as a child I used to love Sprite, have mercy most high. But haven't drunk it in years, praise the most high, decades at that. But yeah, so all these things go back to these demons play. They play on the lack of knowledge. Moving forward, it says the Greeks and Romans believed in familiars called daemons or daemons, which occupied homes, buildings, and other places and attached themselves to people. Such spirits provide advice and guidance, performed tasks, acted as servants, and did guard duty. Socrates said daemons whispered in his ear to warn him of danger and misfortune. Now remember, these are your pagan philosophers who they tell kids to read Socrates and this person and that person. These people were possessed by demons. Plotinus also was said to have a familiar who appeared when summoned and obeyed him and was superior to lower ranking spirits such as the genii, guardians of places. Other beliefs about familiars cross over into the lore of fairies, elves, brownies. That's right, brownies are demons. Gnomes and trolls. Trolls are demons, the ones with the little hair that they got the kids playing with. Yes, those are demons. Just like Smurfs are demons. Anywho, they got to get you to think of it as entertainment. Oh, it's just for the kids. It's okay, right? Spirits that work in mines and guard hidden treasures are sometimes called familiars. The jinn summoned by King Solomon or jinn to build his temple of Jerusalem are comparable to familiars. Familiars can be conjured magically for a variety of purposes. In esoteric lore, there are the constant attendants and servants of magicians, wizards, spellcasters, and healers. Low familiars are inanimate objects such as magical books that mysteriously appear. The English magician John Dee acquired a scrying, divining crystal inhabited by a familiar spirit, which he and his assistant Edward Kelly used to communicate with angels or spirits. High familiars assume plant and animal and human shape. Some familiars assume whatever shape is needed for their purposes. D had another familiar, Madame, who appeared as either a young girl or an adult. She even appeared naked when dealing with. Now, This is also why I tell people don't get certain books. At some point, and there are people who ask me, right, for knowledge and stuff like that. And they say, I'm going to read it because I understand this spiritual warfare better than the congregants. It is the Most High who has revealed this to me so that I can share with you. Not everything is meant to be read. Okay, that's true. And if it is meant to be read, it's for particular people who can handle what comes with that reading. You see, that's also the problem with when people come into the truth, they be like, oh, yeah, look at all these book gang, I got this, I got this, I got this, I get this, I get this. That's also a demonic action as well. Because half of those books that people buy, they don't even read. That's right. Half of those books they buy, they don't even read. So, really, what was the point of that? The point was to get you to sin. So now you're going to buy and you may say, how do we sin if we just buy the books and not read it? Now, Satan understands that if you buy the book, now you are held accountable to reading it because now it's in your possession. So now you can't make an excuse as to why you didn't know what was in that book because it's in your possession. That's one. Two, if these books have a curse upon them, are you spiritually strong enough to deal with the demons that will battle you over this knowledge? Because they're not just going to let you read things peaceably. They're going to attack you with headaches. They're going to attack you with stomach aches. They're going to attack you with, nauseousness. They're going to attack you with your knees. Maybe your chest is hurt. Maybe your arms is hurt. Maybe your neck. Maybe your teeth start hurting. They're not just going to let you do things willingly when you get something that can help other people and yourself as well. It says the English magician John Dee acquired a scrying, divining, crystal inhibited of familiar spirits, which he and his assistant used to communicate with angels or spirits. Oh, I read this part, excuse me. According to tradition, familiars can be magically locked in bottles, rings, and stones, and sometimes sold as charms for success in gambling, love, and business. Now, you sat there and you see all these people talking about crystals and stones and stuff. Why are these things coming up all of a sudden within the past 2 years? Why? Because these people selling these stones, they are in witchcraft. They work with demons. You did not see. Now, I get it as far as trade and bargaining and stuff like that, but in the times of old, you did not see people saying, hey, come get these jewels. This will make you feel this way and these crystals. Come on. Come on. Someone would have looked at them like, what you mean? We serve the Most High. The Most High make us feel good. Following his laws make us feel good. Keeping his holy days make us feel good. What do you mean we need rocks, balls, crystals? What you mean we need bottles, vases, rings? What do you mean? There's also why people said not to get wedding rings because they come from that wedding ring was originally a serpent. Okay, so the wedding ring and the ring was made for a serpent eating its tail. Yeah, then because that wasn't how you knew someone was married. But anywho, that's for another day. And then the stones and selling charms, and this is what we see today. In witchcraft lore, familiars are low-ranking demons or imps. Remember, I did that in a lesson a while back. Given by the devil to those who commit to pacts with him. So, notice how they have to be in a pact. You have to do a covenant with the devil. Or witches inherited familiars from their other witches. Demonic familiars were said by witch hunters to serve witches in all ways, even they carried out spells and bewitchments. Most witch familiars were believed to be in animal form. Some were spirits kept in bottles and flasks. Even fairies were said to be familiars. That's right. That's right. You can see Sprite is an elf, is a fairy, is a demon. A witch could have multiple familiars. Cats, especially black, were the favored forms. The fear that all cats were witches' familiars led to cat massacres in Europe. The witch hunter Pierre de Lacret said the highest ranking witches have familiars in the shape of horned frogs that sit on their left shoulder and are invisible to everyone but other witches. Some witches have familiars in human form. Other witches have familiars. Other common witches' familiars were dogs, toads, mice, ferrets, weasels, birds, wasps, bees, moths, hedgehogs, rabbits, and farm animals, as well as monstrous hybrid creatures. And once again, in that book, it said that demons operate through animals. They turn into animals. So imagine going to a pet store and you buying a demon. Have mercy. Not to get anyone, stressed out, but you know, you do what you want to do. I'm just here to give the information the Most High has given me. For example, the accused English witch Elizabeth Clark confessed to having 5 familiars, including Vinegar Tom, a creature that looked like a greyhound dog with an ox head and could shapeshift into a, you see, familiars all supposedly had grotesque names that gave away their true demonic entities. Elizabeth, uh, an accused witch in England, trials in 1556 had a white spotted cat named Satan, or Satan, which is Satan. Crazy. Other names recorded at witch trials were Verdilit, Elemanzar, Greeted Gut. Ugh, these names. Jezebel, ugh, we know her, right? Abrahel, Grizel, Martinet, Blackman, and Pyewacket. If anyone, who lives out in the UK, any of these names, some of these names like Blackman, anyhow, witches who were arrested and in prison were watched secretly to see whether their familiars came to their aid. Even a fly, a gnat, a fly, ant, or cockroach that went toward a witch was called a familiar. Guards had to watch carefully that familiars believed to be assassins dispatched by the devil did not kill an accused witch before she could be tried. Witches were said to take great care of their familiars, suckling them with their own blood through the witches' marks, small teats, discoloration, and welts upon their bodies. Having a familiar was sufficient to condemn a witch to death. The Witchcraft Act of 1604 made it a felony to consult, covenant with, entertain, employ, feed, reward any evil or wicked spirit to or for any intent or purpose. In contrast to the familiars of the witch trials, the literary that one is a little hard, is an elegant familiar, usually as assuming the form of a tall man in black who attends his victim, Faust. In order to subvert his soul, Faust also accompanied by a black dog familiar. Many modern witches, Wiccans, and pagans have familiars as magical helpers. Many are animals, often cats, whose psychic attunement makes them ideal partners in magic. Some witches turn pets into familiars, and others send out calls on the psychic planes to draw in the right animal. This is some crazy stuff, right? Other Others create familiars from astral thought forms. So these witches and all these people doing all this demonic witchcraft and stuff, right? These people are in a pact. You can't do these things without being in a pact with Satan. Familiars attend rituals, protect against negative spirits, which that's not true because they are negative. They can't fight against their own. They are sensitive to psychic vibrations and power and are welcome partners inside their magical circle. And yes, psychics and these witches, they be talking about vibrations and frequencies and oh, shut up. I don't want to hear it. I'm tired. Oh, most high. That was a trial. They are sensitive to psychic vibrations with frequencies and power and are welcome partners inside the magic circle for raising of power. The casting of spells, scrying, spirit contact, and other magical work. They also serve as psychic radar, reacting visible to the presence of any negative or evil energy, whether it be an unseen force or a person who dabbles in the wrong kind of magic. Familiars are given psychic protection by their witches. Mercy. And we'll read this part. Spirits enjoy human blank intercourse either by drawing energy from people engaged in it or by assuming or possessing a human form in order to participate in directly. So think about this. People engage in it. That's your clubs, your strip clubs and those different venues that people fornicate and do sin. Those are nothing but demonic spirits all up in there. Depending on the nature of a familiar, it enjoys the higher spiritual nature of and the lustful physical nature of it. A familiar might try to influence a encounter by prolonging it as long as possible. It usually presses on top of a person or lies alongside him or her. A person feels encounter with a familiar as an intense wave of physical pleasure. Familiars can engage in by possessing a person's body and generating internal sensations of pleasure by possessing a person's human lover to manipulate his or her hands and body and by causing erotic dreams. So, you may, people who fornicate, they may think that they are with engaging with a person, but it is that demon who is operating with that person who is seeking to get the other person, right? It says the low demonic types of spirit encounters are with an incubus, a male demon, or succubus, a female demon. During the witch hysteria, witches were said to cooperate with demon lovers, and demons masquerading as seductive humans attack sleeping people at night. And so, yes, demons are the only ones who do this. Demons are the only one. Frequent contact with familiars can result in nightmares, physical injuries caused by familiars, and also obsession, in which a person sees, hears, and feels an influencing spirit or possession in which the familiar completely takes over a person. Also, now, Well, let me finish reading this. Also, spirits do not always distinguish between truth and falsehood, and so discernment must be applied to whatever information they impart. Familiars can manifest as voices in the head that cause compulsive, aberrant behavior, including self inflicted wounds, suicide, and violence towards others. Excessive and draining contact with them can create mental, emotional, and physical strain and breakdown. Therefore, you want to know if you're around a demon. You want to know if you are around someone who has a massive spirit. Try and leave them. If they fight you, but they're not bringing you to the Most High, that's a demon. Hello. Hello. Obsession. Now think about this. We've all heard this in a movie, right? Someone will say, "Oh, well, if you don't stay with me, I would unalive myself." Hmm. A demon doesn't mean that person is possessed at that time. It could be, it could not be, but still, they shouldn't be saying that. And then they do not distinguish the truth or falsehood. So what would happen? They would maybe throw up things to keep up one bound. Remember, that we're also dealing with what? Psychic vampires. Psychic vampires. In the movie, this demon who played Michael B. Jordan, this demon would go and talk about everyone's desire or their lust. One man wanted, oh, I want to show you, the preacher boy, want to show you a good time. And then, you know, um, the voodoo woman, right? She was in the middle of nowhere, but they were like, yeah, come to the juke joint. You know, your food, everyone will love your food. It's almost as if like she was going out of business, but that was going to make her business thrive, right? The Asians, they were having a business, but more publicity. Um, you had there was one other person, but you and the harmonica player, right? The musician, he did anything for the sake of alcohol. These all the things to bring the people to their downfall, right? Moving forward. And I thought this was interesting too. Now, we've seen, everyone probably has watched Blade or heard of, the vampires and metal and stuff, but it says protection against evil, including demons, vampires, witches, and evil spirits and fairies. Iron repels the Jinn and Lilith and other childbirth demons and their children. Iron scissors are small implements are placed at beds to ward off demonic attacks. Iron objects placed in coffins and grave sites. We've seen this as well and things of that nature. And iron nails driven into coffins and prevent vampires and restless ghosts from leaving their graves to attack the living. Now, you may say, why would they do you understand, like, there are demonic rituals that there are demonic rituals that need to have corpses and different things like that. So, yeah, yeah, okay. But yeah, you see the iron, the silver bullets, in different movies they use these things, right? And sharing a little bit more. States in the West Indies, lore of an old woman who has made a pact with the devil and must supply him with large quantities of warm blood. Logaro, coined by French colonists and corruption of French term for werewolf, loup garou. In order to satisfy the devil's demand for blood, the Logaro preys as a vulture during the day. At night, she goes to a cottonwood tree where she removes her own skin and hides in the tree. She shapeshifts into a blob of light and flies about, acting, attacking people and animals and sucking blood as a vampire. If the Lagaro is injured while in her shapeshifted form, she will show her wound when she changes back to human form, thus revealing her true identity. Another way of exposing her is to find her skin and grind it up with pepper and salt. Hmm. This will find This will force her to be in daytime and she will die of exposure. Now, I'm just sharing with y'all these things that all tie into their so-called um, understanding of vampires. Okay. Also, I thought this was really interesting when you look into mirrors. Mirrors are very important for spirits. Okay, and I know you said, how do we get away from mirrors? They done convinced everyone you need a mirror. They convince, hey, I'm gonna just say use it for what's needed and get out of it, because nothing good be coming in the mirror. Either vanity or demons gonna come in the mirror, one or the other. It says, according to folklore, a doorway or portal through which spirits, including ghosts and demons, can gain access to the physical world. Mirrors are problems in some cases of demonic infestation and hauntings. Since ancient times, a shiny surface has been regarded as a spirit doorway and can be used deliberately to summon spirits into the world. They are also used for seeing visions of the future. Much of the folklore about mirrors is negative, and widespread belief they are soul stealers with the power to suck souls out of the body. In the Greek myth of Narcissus, right? He sees his own reflection in water, pines away, and dies. The devil and demons can enter through mirrors to attack people, according to some beliefs. There are numerous beliefs about mirrors and the dead. When a person dies, all the mirrors in the house should be turned all over, or if a corpse sees itself in a mirror, the soul of the dead will have no rest and will become a hmm. It's just some stuff that just don't sit well. I'm saying from my personal experience, it's just some stuff. Corpses seeing themselves in the mirrors will draw upon the house. I don't believe in bad luck, but you could say they'll draw even more demons to it. Such beliefs hark back to days where the corpses were laid out in homes and people believed that souls lingered about the body until burial. Another another folk belief holds that if a person sees his or her own reflection in a room where someone has died, it is a death omen. Mirrors also should be covered in sick rooms, and in the folk belief that the soul is weakened and more vulnerable to possession during illness. If a home is plagued with an unpleasant spirit activity, investigators, including lay demonologists, may recommend removal and covering of mirrors. In bedrooms, mirrors should never be placed in front of the bed or at the head of the bed. It is considered a negative influence for a person to be able to see himself from any angle in the mirror while in bed. Mirrors should never reflect into each other. This creates unstable psychic space. I mean, I'm gonna tell you. I can tell you, but I can't tell you. But I just know that these mirrors are I had some experiences, and we ain't talking Bloody Mary experiences. So, um, yeah, do as you wish. Yeah, I'm gonna say I think that mirrors ain't all good. I mean, like I said, do what you got to do, get out of it. But um, yeah, moving forward, a folk remedy calls for position a mirror so that it faces out toward a door or window. The reasoning goes that a spirit who looks into the window or attempts to cross the door threshold will see its own reflection and be scared away. Mirrors can be closed as portals by rubbing the edges on them or washing the surfaces with water, holy water. Now, this is this is really interesting because remember Ed and Lorraine? If I'm not mistaken, this is who the movie The Conjuring is made after, these two. Okay. And if you didn't know, FYI, The Conjuring, all of those movies are real. Okay. All of the Conjuring movies are 100% real. It reads one of the cases of Ed and Lorraine Warren involved in conjuring mirror, where the Warrens said it invited demonic trouble into the life of the user. Oliver B., a 45-year-old man in New Jersey, purchased a mirror in an ornate frame or purpose of casting spells and curses on others. Well, that's what he gets. But anyhow, first, Oliver learned to see images clearly in the mirror by spending long periods of gazing into the mirror with intense concentration. After months of practice, he could state whatever he wanted to see, and the image would appear. Oh, he learned how to see future situations for himself. Then he began conjuring images of people he did not like or who had wronged him. He projected an image of a person into the future and willed something bad to happen with the help of demons he summoned. The scene played out in the mirror, and then it came to pass in physical reality. Eventually, Oliver's magic backfired on him, as it always does, the misfortune he conjured for others began happening to him. In addition, demons invaded his home and created unpleasant disturbances such as footsteps, heavy breathing, doors opening by themselves, levitation of objects, unearthly howlings in the night. After a week of terrifying phenomena, Oliver contacted the Catholic Church and was referred to the Warrens, who investigated. Ed Warren undid the ritual that Oliver had done repeatedly by performing it backward. This stopped the demonic oppression, Warren said, and nullified the mirror's magic spells. Oliver gave the Warrens the mirror to be placed in the Museum of Possessed Possessions. Full stop. I'm just sharing with y'all. The Most High, I'm just going to share with them. All right. Around the world. Spin. Right? India. The most powerful and numerous demons of the Indian underworld, feared as cannibals, vampires, night stalkers, assassins, dark faces, and biters. Rak, Rakshasha means to guard and refers to the demon task of guarding the elixir of immortality found on the floor of the ocean. The Rakshasa are ruled by Ravana and live on the island of Lanka. I'm not sure if that connects to Sri Lanka, but I kind of would think so. But no, I don't know. The haunt burial grounds reanimate dead bodies and cannibalize people. They have a multitude of grotesque shapes with the heads of serpents or animals, 2 to 4 crooked legs and long, sharp teeth. Some are beautiful, however, go about in magnificent clothing. Ravana has Excuse me. Yeah, and so you can see the difference here. I won't read it, but these are right. Going back to that one. All righty. And we went over these of the satanic, how they view the psychic vampires. Tengu, and I wasn't sure. I thought I heard this name. I think when everyone hears Tengu, I don't know. My brain just said Temu. I don't know, but that's just me. Maybe it's my own little sense of humor, but most High forgive me if I'm wrong. Is this an Asian goblin or demon who acts as a vampire, poltergeist, or trickster? Descriptions of the Tengu date on the 8th century. Demons appear in the shape of a man with wings, long, sharp nails in his hands and toes. His nose either a crow's beak or red or round, and its size indicates the demon's strength. Sometimes he carries a fan or a stick. The Tengu is especially known for kidnapping people in remote mountainous areas. He is fond of stealing. Possessions by Tengu is not necessarily diabolical. The possessed acquire supernormal skills and knowledge during their occupation by the spirit. Have mercy. And Mexico, we gonna have to talk here, right? Because um, the Aztec prince of the underworld and king of the witches, he called himself Smoking Mirror. Yeah, you see, what's going on with Central America, South America, and loving Satan? I know the whole world is in chaos, but good grief, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Now you can read and read and read, read and read and read until the point where it says there are many stories about this demon god and his activities. He sentenced the newly arrived souls of the dead who stand before him dressed in ocelot skins and with yokes around their necks. He makes them run an obstacle course through Mictlan, a region of hell. And this was a god they worship in the Aztecs. Yeah, well, Aztec, Zipe Totec, I don't know how to pronounce that properly, forgive me, but Aztec trickster vampire, demon of the underworld. Zipe Totec is called the night drinker because he sucks the blood of souls of the dead who drop off to sleep instead of doing their penance. So those who sleep rather than pray, make sure you pray before you sleep. Okay. Enemies of the Aztec feared him as a god of the penitents and sacrificed prisoners of war to him. According to one story, Zibe Totec went to a village and convinced the residents that their sins had taken the form of a huge monster that lurked outside the town and cast spells over the people. He told them they had to bind the monster, throw it off the cliff, and he led the townspeople to a spot where he conjured an imaginary monster, believing it to be real. The people bound it and took it to the edge of a cliff. Zipe Todic tricked their eyes, and the people fell off the cliff to their deaths. Strong delusions, right? Strong, strong delusions. One moment, please. All righty. Thank you for that brief pause. All right. So now that we went over that, and like I said, brothers and sisters, that was the part that I wanted to include, but I realized I forgot it. So um, praise the Most High, we got that. Now going to the book of Enoch. And we're going to start from Enoch 96. Okay, it reads here in 96, it says, with the hope for the righteous ones, more woes for the sinners. It reads, be hopeful, you righteous ones, for the sinners shall soon perish from before your presence. You shall be given authority upon them, such authority as you may wish to have. In the day of tribulation of sinners, your children shall be raised high up and be made openly visible like eagles. Higher than the vultures will your dwelling place be. You shall ascend and enter the crevices of the earth and the clefts of the rock forever, like squirrels before the face of the oppressor. The sirens shall be blown over you. That means the devils. Wailing like the buzzing of wild bees. But you, who have experienced pain, fear not, for there shall be a healing medicine for you. A bright light shall enlighten you, and a voice of rest you shall hear from heaven. Woe unto you, you sinners, for your money makes you appear like the righteous, but your hearts do reprimand you like real sinners. This very matter shall be a witness against you as a record of your evil deeds. Woe unto you who eat the best bread and drink wine in large bowls, trampling upon the weak with your might. Woe unto you who have water available to you all the time. For soon you shall be consumed and wither away, for you have forsaken the fountain of life. Woe unto you who carry out oppression, deceit, and blasphemy. There shall be a record of evil against you. Woe unto you, O powerful people, you who coerce the righteous with your power. The day of your destruction is coming. In those days, at the time of your condemnation, many and good days shall come for the righteous ones. Now, I would like to share, and a lot of people may say, man, that's kind of unfair. The Most High says, woe unto those who eat the best bread and drink wine in the large bowls. That's alcohol, right? Just having a good time. Now, understand, the Most High wasn't necessarily referring to bread. He's referring to those who eat the best of foods. Okay, so in this world, follow me now. You ready? In this world, and we'll just speak about America. When I was in years ago, right? 2010, 11, 12, 13. Well, no, not 13, 2000, 2000, 2010, 11, right? And 12, I think it was. When I was dealing with the Israelite congregations, and it was about two or three, right? The big emphasis was about your triglycerides and your this and your that, right? And your organic food. And they still do these things today. But you see, there's an issue as to why the Most High says this. And I'm going to share it with you. Okay. I hope you follow me now here. Okay. Let me. Um, all right, brothers and sisters. So sorry about that. So to go back, when the Most High said, "Woe unto you who eat the best bread," I know here it says enriched wheat, but no, it's referring to once again those who are saying, "Oh, well, you got to have this food and you got to have that food." Now, I'm gonna show you, okay? Because there was an issue with people when going to congregations, and I've seen this in, you know, Israelite community. And look what was said. Now in this that I declare unto you, I praise you not. Okay. He said, I praise you not. Why? That's the question. For first of all, when ye come together in the church, I hear that there be divisions among you, and I partly believe it. Now, the right side is also here as well. In the first place, I hear that when you come together as a community, there are separate factions among you, and I half believe it, since there must no doubt be separate groups among you to distinguish those who are to be trusted. The point is, when you hold these meetings, it is not the Lord's Supper that you are eating, since when the time comes to eat, everyone is in such a hurry to start his own supper that one person goes hungry while another is getting drunk. Surely you have homes for eating and drinking in. Surely you have enough respect for the community of God not to make poor people embarrassed. Now, when people are talking about, oh, you got to eat this and you got to eat that, and well, I eat this, and this is what God's talking about. You're making people feel embarrassed because they can't afford what you can eat. I don't want to hear about your triglycerides and diglycerides if I'm barely scraping by. Most High is going to bless that person who's just scraping by, but who is still trying. Because 10 times or 12 times out of 10, the very people saying triglycerides and do we got this and do we got that, they're not going to fill up your refrigerator for you if you can't afford it. With that being said, if you can afford it, great for you. But do not make others feel bad and say, oh, well, God's going to do this or God's going to say that, because this is exactly what it said. You have people, you making poor people embarrassed. What are you supposed to be congratulated on this? Because you have the best of breads, you can go to the best of stores and get, things that haven't been tainted. Well, not everyone has that ability. The Most High says, woe unto these people. That's why, and the same concept goes with everything else. Yes, I believe that coming to a congregation of the Most High, you come as you are, as in senses of modesty. You do not come to You do not come to a congregation with leggings. You do not come in with your chest open. You don't come in with, you know, your socks on. You don't come in with a pajama gown. You you have some darn respect. You have some respect for where you're saying you're serving the Most High. It don't matter if it's a church, if it's a warehouse, if it's the park, if it's someone's house or someone's backyard. You have some respect. And the same concept goes with those individuals who say, oh, you got to buy the fringes. Well, if someone can't afford it, buy it for them if you're so concerned. That's why I've been across the world and sit there and they say, yeah, this is Israelite, these are Israelites saying we can't, God won't love us if we don't wear fringes. And I say, we'll see on the day of judgment. Because if I'm talking to someone in Djibouti, if I'm talking to someone in Yemen, and they up there like, hey, well, I don't want to serve this guy who tell me I gotta have certain clothes when I'm getting bombed. You're embarrassing. These are embarrassing evildoers. Continuing to the right, surely you have enough respect for the community of God not to make poor people embarrassed. What am I to say to you? Congratulate you? I cannot congratulate you on this. For this is what I received from the Lord, and in turn you passed on to, and in turn passed on to you. That on the same night he was betrayed, the Lord Yeshua took some bread and thanked God for it and broke it. And he said, this is my body, which is for you. Do as a memorial for me. And the same way he took the cup after supper and said, this cup is a new covenant in my blood. Whenever you drink it, do this as a memorial of me until the Lord comes. Therefore, every time you eat this bread and drink this cup, you are proclaiming his death. And so anyone who eats the bread or drinks the cup of the Lord unworthily will be behaving unworthily towards the body and blood of the Lord. Everyone is to recollect himself before eating this bread and drinking this cup, because a person who eats and drinks without recognizing the body is eating and drinking his own condemnation. In fact, that is why many of you are weak and ill, and some of you have died. Wow. Because they think they all good. If only we recollected ourselves, we should not be punished like that. So notice how those are punishments for not considering. But when the Lord does punish us like that, it is to correct us and stop us from being condemned with the world. So to sum up, my brothers, when you meet for the meal, wait for the one another. Wait for one another. Anyone who is hungry should eat at home, and then your meeting will not bring you condemnation. The other matters I shall address when I come. And this was in light because, once again, there are people who want to come just for a meal. No one likes these people. No one likes these people. You get it. No. Even in the Essenes, we don't allow this. God doesn't like this. See, people who like to tote themselves because they can get other things that other people can't. What do you think social media is? It's vanity. You take a picture of your life, you take a picture of this and that. You're showing people. You don't know how that makes someone else feel. And some people may say, well, that's up for the other person not to be jealous, but not everyone feels jealous. What if it makes someone sad? The Most High hears the tears of the poor more than anyone, right? Keep that in mind. Woe, and then I'll read it again. Woe unto you, sinners, for your money makes you appear like the righteous, but your hearts do reprimand you like real sinners. For this very matter shall be a witness against you as a record of your evil deeds. Woe unto you who eat the best breads and drink wine in large bowls, trampling upon the weak with your might. Woe unto you who have water available to you all the time. Now, I, Water is what? And I want people to recognize this. Water is what? Water was considered everlasting life. So this is not talking about water. Just like this is not talking about bread, it's talking about food in general. This is not talking about water. This is about now, if water is considered everlasting life, that means you have the ability to get knowledge. Woe unto you who have knowledge available to you all the time. For soon you shall be consumed and withered away, for you have forsaken the fountain of life. So all that knowledge has made people forget the reality, the truth of Christ. Woe unto you who carry out oppression, deceit, blasphemy. There shall be a record of evil against you. Woe unto you, O powerful people, you who coerce the righteous with your power. The day of your destruction is coming, and those days all the time at that time of your condemnation, many and good days shall come for the righteous. So for my brothers and sisters in righteousness out there, understand that the Most High is showing sinners something, but in the same token, He is also letting us know that judgment is coming to sinners and that the time of the righteous is coming as well, which means we are going to be recompensed for all the good we have done. It reads, "Be confident, you righteous ones, for the sinners are due for shame. They shall perish on the day of judgment of oppression. Take for granted this indisputable matter. For the Most High shall record your destruction for you, O sinners, and the angels of heaven shall rejoice over your destruction. What do you intend to do, you sinners? Whether will you flee on the day of judgment, when you hear the sound of the prayer of the righteous? In respect to your lot, you shall become like them, the ones against whom you shall become witnesses. Such is the fact. You have become bedfellows with sinners. Bedfellows with sinners. In those days, the prayers of the righteous one shall reach unto the Lord, but for all of you, your days shall arrive. Ye shall read aloud regarding every respect of your mischief. In the presence of the great Holy One, then your faces shall be covered with shame, and he will cast out every deed which is built upon oppression. Woe unto you, sinners, who are in the midst of the sea and on the dry land. You, whose records are both evil and against you." Now, a lot of people may not understand. Woe are in the midst of the sea and on the dry land. So, in the middle of the water and on the dry land. You know what this means? Think about it. Think about it. Think about it. Oh, you don't know what it means? Shall I help you? And someone gonna fight me on this, but get over it. Those who are able to have freedom from oppression, freedom from work, vacationing, going to islands, going on cruises, going on, different places. Uh, the Most High is talking about them. That's right. Because while someone is dying, you are having a good time. Now, there's nothing wrong with resting yourself. Don't get me wrong. If you work hard, you deserve rest. The Bible even tells us this. But these are people who either don't do what the Most High says and want a vacation, or do very little of what the Most High says, still beating around the bush, not doing all of what he says, but partial. and then going around having a good time. Most High's on your behind. You enjoy that vacation. You enjoy that freedom. You enjoy the leisure because the Most High is going to come for you. It reads, woe unto you who gain silver and gold by unjust means. You will say then, we have grown rich and accumulated goods. This is people with businesses and different things. Come on. Some people sell vapes, some people sell cigarettes, some people sell alcohol, some people sell wine, some now the Most High didn't say nothing was wrong with a business. He said how you do it by unjust means. We have acquired everything that we have desired. All those who, I guess in the world they call them go-getters, you see, and they said in America there was a study just actually recently released that said for the first time the generations are not having children, and women from I think 20 or 25 to 44 are all going to be within the next 3 years over, I want to say it was over 73% of women will be single mothers or single. Now, there's men who have done this too, chase the career. You chase the career and you have no one. Now think about this, right? Why is children the heritage of the Lord? I want you to follow, right? If you are a career chaser, those people are not your family, right? Now, if you have unrighteous family, this doesn't apply. But I'm speaking for those who have righteous family or whatever the case may be in the righteous aspect. If you have a righteous family and you are chasing a career, you end up sacrificing your family. You may say you're doing it for your family, and that there's even a fine line between doing it for your family and doing it for yourself, because all things come back, right? But if you are chasing the career, you end up doing it for what others to see you, to be seen, but not by your family. You do it for others to see you. But if you do it for your family, you're more than likely gonna have someone, you know, say good things about you. Now, one of the judgments of of people going to hell is the parents who didn't raise their children properly. And their children, they're going to be there witnessing, but they're not going to get punished. And they're going to see their children not getting punished for a time, and then the Most High is going to take them into the kingdom. They're going to see their children getting punished, and the Most High, the parent is going to say, "Why am I here, Most High?" And the children are going to say to the parent, "You know why you're here. You know why." And the Most High does that because children are the heritage. You're supposed to enjoy a good word from your children first, and then the outside world, not the outside world down to your children. So then the Most High is not going to look at your coworkers and your boss for a good name. He's going to look at your children. The Bible even tells you this. A father, a man, a woman is known by their children. But if you have not put time into your children, the Most High won't put time into you. Oh my, right? And so a lot of people, they do what? They acquire everything they desire, sacrificing the children. Let's see. So now let us do whatever we like. Let's have a good time, for we have gathered silver, we have filled our treasuries with money like water, and many are the laborers in our houses. Your lies flow like water, for your wealth shall not endure, but it shall take off from you quickly, for you have acquired it all unjustly, and you shall be given over to a great curse. And look what happened with a lot of people during the 19 time, and the jibby jab time, right? They were losing their businesses, and then people were getting loans, and then right after the jibby jab stopped, then the governments of the world came and took those businesses right back because you thought you were going to fool God's judgment. And you can never fool God. Now I swear unto you, to the wise and to the foolish, for you shall see many things upon the earth. For you men shall put on more jewelry than women, and more multicolored garments than a virgin. I mean, is this not scary accuracy? And sovereignty, in grandeur and in authority, and silver and in gold, and clothing and honor and edibles, they shall be poured out like water. For this reason they are devoid of knowledge and wisdom, so they shall perish together, thereby together with their goods, and together with all their glory and honor. And notice the reason: they were devoid of knowledge. They were devoid of knowledge, destitute, not possessing, lacking. They were void. Empty. Moses says, all right, you don't want to pay attention to me? All right now. You sure you want to do this? For this reason they are devoid of knowledge and wisdom, so shall they perish together, thereby together with their goods, and together with all their glory and honor. Then in dishonor and slaughter and in great misery their spirit shall be cast away. I have sworn unto you sinners in the same manner, that a mountain has never turned into a servant, nor shall a hill ever become a maidservant of a woman. Likewise, neither has sin been exported into the world. It is a people who have themselves invented it, and those who commit it shall come under a great curse. Why is a woman not given a child? On account of the deeds of her own hands would she die without children? I swear to you sinners by the Holy Great One that all your evil deeds are revealed in the heavens. None of your deeds of injustice are covered and hidden. Think not in your spirit, nor say in your hearts you neither nor that you neither know nor see all your sins. That's where people say, well, I don't know what I did. I don't know. Stop this. Being written down every day in the presence of the Most High. From now on, do know that all your injustices which you have committed unjustly are written down every day until the day of your judgment. Woe unto you, fools, for you shall perish through your folly. You do not listen to the wise, and you shall not receive good things. And now do know that you are ready for the day of destruction. Hope not that you shall live, you sinners, you who shall depart and die. For you know for what reason you have been ready. That's deep. For you know what reason. So someone who's going, they understand where they're going. For the day of the great judgment, for the day of anguish and great shame for your spirit. Woe unto you, obstinate of heart, who do evil and devour blood. From where will you find good things that you may eat, drink, and be satisfied? Even from all the good things which the Lord the Most High stocked in plenitude upon the whole earth, no peace exists for you. Woe unto you who love unrighteousness. Why do you have hopes for good things for yourselves? Do know that you shall be given over into the hands of the righteous ones, and they shall cut off your and slay you, and they shall not have compassion upon you. Woe unto you who rejoice in the suffering of the righteous ones, for no grave shall be dug for you. Woe unto you who would set at naught the words of the righteous ones. For you shall have no hope of life. Woe unto you who write down false words and words of wickedness, for they write down their lies so that the people may commit wicked acts. And they cause others to commit wicked acts, and they have no peace. They shall have no peace, but shall die quickly. Woe unto you who cause wickedness, who glorify and honor false words. You are lost and have no life of good things. Woe unto you who alter the words of truth and pervert the eternal law. They reckon themselves not guilty of sin, and they shall be trampled upon the earth. And, you know, this goes into why I am very skeptical of any children of Israel who come from the United States, because um, thus far, the entire track record of every last one of them have been to receive my information, receive the scriptures that I teach, receive the lessons, take thorough notes, and bring it back to their congregation so they can be glorified. But yet, they're thieves. In those days, be ready, you righteous ones, to raise up your prayers as a memorial and place them as a testimony before the angels. And they, the angels, shall bring the sins of the sinners for memorial before the Most High. In those days, the nations shall be confounded, and the families of the nations shall rise in the day of destruction of the sinners. In those days, they, the women, shall become pregnant, but the sinners shall come out and abort their infants and cast them out from their midst. They shall also abandon their other children, casting their infants out while they are still suckling. Now, when it says, by the way, casting, abandon their children, there's an M there. It says destroying their children. You see it, L? They shall stumble, they shall stammer. That is the abandoning, children, meaning they shall stumble in life. They shall neither return to them their babies, nor have compassion upon their beloved ones. Again, I swear to you, you sinners, for sin has been prepared for the day of unceasing blood, and those who worship stones, and those who carve images of gold, and of silver, and of wood, and of clay, and those who worship evil spirits, and demons, and all kinds of idols not according to knowledge. They shall get no manner of help in them. They shall become wicked on account of the folly in their hearts. Their eyes will be blindfolded on account of the fear of their hearts. The visions of their dreams, they shall become wicked and fearful through them, for they wrought those days. Blessed are they who all accept the words of wisdom and understand them, to follow the path of the Most High. They shall walk in the path of his righteousness and not become wicked with the wicked, and they shall be saved. Woe unto you who spread evil to your neighbors, for you shall be slain in Sheol. Woe unto you who make sinful and deceitful measures, who acquire worldly knowledge, for you shall be consumed by it. And that's once again when I sat there and said, everything doesn't need to be learned. Everything doesn't need to be learned. Woe unto you who build your houses through the hard toil of others, meaning money. And your building materials are bricks and stones of sin. I tell you, you have no peace. Woe unto you who reject the foundations and the eternal inheritance of your forefathers, who shall pursue after the wind the idle, for there shall be no rest for you. Woe unto you who engage in oppression and give aid to injustice. And there's nothing no one can do about taxes, but I tell you, if you give freely to those who oppress others, you're in trouble. Slaying your neighbors until the day of great judgment, because he shall debase your glory. He will instill evil in your hearts. He will arouse the anger of his spirit and destroy you all by the sword, and all the holy and righteous ones shall remember your sins. In those days the father will be beaten together with his sons in one place, and brothers shall fall together with their friends in death, until a stream shall flow with their blood. For a man shall not be able to withhold his hands from his son, nor from his son's son, in order to them. Nor is it possible for the sinner to withhold his hands from his honored brother. From dawn until the sun sets, they shall slay each other. The horse shall walk through the blood of the sinners up to his chest, and the chariot shall sink down up to its top. In those days the angels shall descend into the secret places. They shall gather together into one place all those who gave aid to sin. And the Most High will arise on that day of judgment in order to execute a great judgment upon all the sinners. He will set a guard of holy angels over all the righteous and holy ones, and they shall keep them as the apple of the eye until all evil and all sin are brought to an end. From that time on, the righteous ones shall sleep a restful sleep, and there shall be no one to make them afraid. Then the wise people shall see, and the sons of the earth shall give heed to all the words of this book. They shall know that their wealth shall not be able to save them at the place where their sins shall collapse. Woe unto you, sinners, when you oppress the righteous ones in the day of hard anguish and burn them with fire. Remember, that's when you oppress the righteous ones. You shall be recompensed according to your deeds. Woe unto you, you hard of heart, who are watchful to devise evil. Fear shall seize you, and none shall come to your aid. Woe unto you, sinners, because the words of your hands, on account of the deeds of your wicked ones, in blazing flames, worse than fire, it shall burn. And now, do know that your deeds will be investigated from the sun, from the moon, and from the stars, from heaven, by the angels on account of your sins which were committed upon the earth. The decree is with the righteous ones. Every cloud, mist, dew, and rain shall witness against you, for they shall all be withheld from descending for you, and they shall give no heed because of your sins. So then offer gifts to the rain, that it be not hindered from descending from you. Perhaps the dew may receive from you gold and silver in order to descend their cold. And all the winds of the snow with their scourges, and in those days you cannot stand before them. Full stop. Brothers and sisters, I can go into Enoch all day long. A warning for sinners and a little hope for the righteous. If you're dealing with these familiar spirits, it's time to leave them alone. If you're dealing with anyone, it's time to leave it alone. If something in your soul is convicting you, saying something's not right with you, that's your soul trying to say, change before we perish. It's up to you. Two types of people. Though we may be finished with part 4, part 5 coming after, but you have a choice to make. Do you want to be one of the few hopeful who the Most High is proud of? Or do you want to continue playing with sin, playing with fire, playing with the devil? It's truly time. Either, brothers and sisters, you're going to walk in the Spirit, or you're going to walk in the flesh with sin. Your choice. Salam.